Had a wild day today, doing an awful lot of media stuff, but it goes on the news, but I don't always get to talk to you guys. So allow me to take a break and talk directly to you, the great social media audience that I get to work with. We're seeing huge things happen. The Texas heartbeat type bill that basically outlaws abortion in the case where after you're able to hear the fetal heartbeat is a huge and sudden surprise. And it's so strengthening to know that the grassroots is having an impact. The grassroots in Arizona has had a huge impact on the whole election integrity count, the recount, the accurate forensic auditing of exactly what's happening with those ballots and what took place. And the shocking discovery that it was someone who Soros had helped to fund for $2 million, the sheriff in Maricopa County, who was putting up a resistance to the digital password transfer, hindering the integrity of the audit, saying he doesn't want to play politics. It's ironic when you take money from Soros who don't want to play politics. Remember that couple, that McCormick, that guy that was, remember, standing with his wife out in front of his St. Louis house when they were having the BLM protests, walking by, and he had his guns all taken away, and he was the prosecutor, another Soros-funded prosecutor, was trying to come after him and punish him for threatening lives, when in fact he was trying to actually save his life and his own property from destruction. Well, now I think he's running for office in that state. What is he? He's running for senator, I think. But so what we're seeing is the populist community push forward. Coca-Cola is after it got woke with Coke, it's starting to revise some of its internal policies to back away from being the social justice warriors. And you guys need to know that, because you also need to know that Disney, after it had some disastrous, first quarter turns, because the populist movement is a grassroots movement. We're not the hobnobbing, upper crust liberals that these rich capitalists and globalists are working with and hanging around and socializing with. But suddenly they find out that the meat and potatoes, the working class, the basic MAGA movement, the working class Americans of all stripes, they vote with their pocketbook. They let their opinions be known. It trickles up eventually. And so that's where Coke got woke finally on how they were hurting themselves. And Disney started to dismantle aspects of its critical race theory, race sensitivity training from its corporate curriculum, much to the chagrin of the activists who thought that who continually try to take over these corporations. But it's in Arizona, 40% of those votes that came in Maricopa County for the whole state are now being retested as 20 million votes. They've only got 19% through so far. It's going to take a little while, but they're discovering huge discrepancies. And what this could result in 100,000 votes that are going to be exposed. We'll find out that how many votes. 10,000 is the margin Biden won with. Let's see how many it legitimately took. If it's a big number, that's going to be the first domino, with already Georgia starting to feel the heat. And it's all grassroots. It's all you guys. It's you guys. It's like sheep and goat nations. You have to think of it in terms of sheep and goat states right now. California, New York. California just had a big, huge reversal. Cheyenne. Governor Newsom wanted to lock him up. A pastor, a man of God, a gracious leader of just like one of our regular, Christian leaders of Asian descent. And the governor wanted to lock him up. Their prosecutor, these prosecutors are dangerous dudes, man. They wanted to put him in prison, in jail, and fine his people $1,000 a day for every violation of going to church. Well, that got overturned by the Supreme Court. Now they have to pay $1.35 million back to Matt Staver and his legal fund for the agita that they had to go through to take that case to the Supreme Court. All churches are now free to be open, and you can't close a church in California unless you're going to close critical infrastructure at the same time. Meaning, that it's not an arbitrary thing. Like, the church is a 10th on the totem pole of priorities. So another interesting piece of information that's coming out, all this stuff is like happening so fast, bam, bam, bam. There's a commission. I got to give you the names of these people. As a matter of fact, I'll post it for you. 35 Republicans just agreed with Pelosi to go ahead and have a a commission in favor of January 6th to see what happened in this terrible insurrection, in which case we had no one armed, and you had people wandering through the Capitol. And we still want to find out, I think we want to find out who was behind, how much truth do you think you're going to get? These are the Republicans, by the way, that voted for the Democrats to go and have this commission, which of course we know with 2 fake impeachment hearings, $40 million worth of Russia, and the collusion of the networks to keep the Hunter Biden story from coming out. And they still got the Hunter laptops and won't expose what's on them, nor will they even discuss what they're going to do about it. But they're going to go after Donald Trump in New York and they're already accusing him of criminal activity. I'm going to show you a very disturbing and exposing another legal thing. See, what the devil's doing is he's using the attorney generals and he's using prosecutors funded by the deep pockets that hate Christians and hate America on the left to go after, it's a spiritual battle for sure, to go after Trump and punish him because they want to disqualify him from running again. They're deathly afraid that he could still come back in, and they're having, flashbacks of Donald Trump coming back. But the reality is that these 35 Republicans that voted in favor of the January 6th commission. I'm going to take you to Donnie Jr.'s Twitter feed because he's got some interesting stuff. I can't read all of it to you because you're a nice Christian audience, but I'm just going through here. Oh, this is interesting. He says, what was the media doing sharing an office with Hamas? So we find out the Associated Press was sharing a building with a terror organization. Oh, they talk about human shields. They got the media shielding them. You catch that? The media is shielding terrorist policies in the Middle East. That'll make you stop and think, or make you stop and drink, but I encourage you not to. So let's see, where is this? Oh, here we go. We got some of this. Here's a fact check. There we go. These are I'm going to give you a list of all of the 35 Republicans who voted to have a commission investigate if there was about how to find Donald Trump and his people guilty. We got pictures of him here on Donald Trump Jr.'s page. Kind of interesting, but you gotta read this thing to believe it. Yes, let's see. This is we've got a little bit saucy. Those Trumps there. They kind of like speak what they're thinking. So anyway, I got to get one of the disgraceful things about this whole witch hunt with January 6th is I don't even know if we could trust them to tell us who's behind it, because the Democrats lockstep. Remember that we had like 30 riots, cities in flames, 40 people dead in the Trump, and this was with the summer of riots all over the country. Democrats had a vote and decided they're not going to investigate it. They don't want to know who funded it. They don't want to know who worked it. They don't want to know how Antifa or BLM or anybody else was structured, how they were compensated, how they were organized, how they were coordinated. They don't want to know the damage that was done, because the Democrats will cover for themselves. Meanwhile, 35 dumb Republicans will say, well, let's go see if we did something wrong. Not a single gun was used. Not a single person was killed, except for an unarmed female veteran who was shot by an unidentified serviceman or somebody that shot her. It's amazing how, in the police, we always know who it is that's doing, a shooting, and they're guilty until proven innocent. But when it comes to the Secret Service, the CIA, or the FBI, they're hiding under a shroud of mystery. Nobody can ever penetrate the veil of what's really going on there, which is why I really suspect you're never going to find out what happened at January 6th. I think people know, but they're not going to talk about it. It doesn't matter. Once Maricopa flips, you're going to see Georgia. That election's going to go, it's going to be, the pressure's on there, and it's going to go to Wisconsin and Michigan. And it's going to be a slow train coming, because it's going to take they've got 100 lawyers down there. They got infrastructure. It's like they don't want to have anything revealed, so they're fighting it tooth and nail. It's like the Durham report. You never hear about it. Why? Because Durham got buried under lawyers who are still fighting to not even let him have access to interviewing people, and there's no will to know the truth. And truth be known, there's no will to overturn the election. If the election was totally stolen, it was proven, there's no will. This thing would just kind of like, it'll continue to roll out to midterms to see what the temperature of the American people is. It's the sad state of affairs, but it's important to know we have to start to pierce the veil of deception and lies. And the only way it's going to happen is we're going to have to take a look at what the results are in Arizona. And Arizona is the first domino. I'm telling you, already in Georgia, they're getting ready because, the grassroots is organizing, the grassroots is mobilizing. Now, you want to know what's dangerous? In the American system of government, when progressives take over the intelligence services and when they take over the courts in order to target their political enemies, in order to target people like us, and silence us. That's exactly what the communist spirit is. That's exactly what the tyrannical spirit is in any despotic regime. And America's got to protect itself. But you see, half the nation could care less about Trump being set up or destroyed. You understand what happened with Rudy Giuliani? The FBI had no business going into his house like Roger Stone, trying to break in at 6 a.m. in the morning to boom, 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 go in there and seize stuff. The man served as a president. Why is it that 3 lawyers that work for Donald Trump all had their files broken into and taken? Because the left wants to look for a crime. It's like the devil trying to seek an accusation against you. So Giuliani has on his phones, his computers. What are they looking for? Something to get Trump. Something to get Trump. They'll squeeze and hurt Giuliani in the meantime. They're going to have vengeance on Giuliani. Why? Because Giuliani called them out on Biden in the Ukraine and Hunter Biden's laptop. And they're vindictive and dangerous. And so they're going to take Giuliani out. And they're going to try to go through every single thing he's got to see if they can find anything on Donald Trump. Why? Because they've already decided they were going to put an attorney general. There again, the left puts people in office to persecute and prosecute the righteous, the good, the innocent, the conservatives. And so what did they do? In order to have vengeance on Donald Trump Jr. is one of the only guys that will put it out there. They put into office one of their own, and a woman attorney general to criminally investigate, to try to go after, put in office who ran on the promise that she would find something to take Donald Trump down. You don't go into public office in order to persecute a citizen. This is disgraceful. You guys don't hear about this stuff because you're not going to hear the news like this, which is why, by the way, I encourage you to go to, let's see, what's the name of it? Liftable. Liftable is going to be my liftable.com/underground. Liftable.com/underground, because this is the kind of stuff that I could get in trouble for. What I'm doing now, oy vey, am I poking all kinds of bears right now? You have no idea. I'm mentioning names. I'm discussing what the FBI and the CIA. I'm discussing the corruption of the Department of Justice. And I'm defending Donald Trump. You understand what I'm doing? Liftable.com/underground. That's the underground where I'm going to be doing these broadcasts in the future. I probably should stop right now and stop talking and go do the rest of it in the underground. I had an underground before, but I was on Facebook, and it made me nervous because they were invading my Facebook with comments like, hey, you got a spot check. You can't say this, you can't say that. I don't like having my conversations supervised by people that are politically motivated at 22 years of age. All right, anyway, I want you to go see who the genius here that's coming after Trump. And I want you to see that she ran for public office, funded by the left in New York in order to destroy Donald Trump. What a disgrace. What a disgrace. Here we go. Watch this. It's hard to hear, but listen.
Oh, well, I'm not going to bother to register to vote because my voice doesn't make a difference. Or just one person.
I say one name. Donald Trump. That should motivate you.
That'll motivate you.
Will you sue him for us?
Oh, we're going to definitely sue him. We're going to be a real pain in the ass. He's going to know my name personally.
I love it.
Isn't that encouraging?
He does already.
You sweet people of God, she's going to be a pain in the ass. She's going to sue Donald Trump.
We need to focus on Donald Trump and his abuses. We need to follow his money. We need to find out where he's laundering.
She talks like Obama, same kind of cadence. You ever notice that?
Tell this president and every other individual that no one is above the law.
Yeah, but nobody should be persecuted by the abuse of the law either. This woman, one of the leading attorneys for the prestigious law firm of Dewey, Cheatham and Howe. Anyway, just wanted to get a flavor. Pray for your president, because this is the stuff that makes him bitter and angry. I don't blame him. And then all those knuckleheads. I know people don't like me using the word knucklehead. That's because the knucklehead Christians that are criticizing Donald Trump, well, I don't like his attitude, his disposition. I want you to live one day in the shoes of this man, having everything he does is rewarded by a perpetual, this is like a scourging constantly. Well, I don't like his tweets. Aren't you the guy that I want to go to war with? Turn your back on me the moment that I tweet something that you don't like, and then you'll all genuflect over the left while they're boarding babies and persecuting you, providing that they do it with style and don't tweet in an offensive manner. Now, I know that's not you. I'm just saying that for my trollites and troglodytes out there. Attorney General Letitia James, that's the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, who is pursuing Donald Trump, who was elected for the express purpose of getting into his company, into his files. And why do you think they broke into Giuliani's house? And why do you think they took everything from him when he could have easily brought it to them? To get something on Trump. This is corruption at a national level. This is vindictive, destructive Democratic Party abuse of the institutions of our own democracy. And it's going to stop. Well, unless, of course, the Antichrist is coming, it's the collapse of the West, and this is the spirit of lawlessness. But I think God has these paroxysms and these spasms of surges of darkness so that it strengthens us to rise up, to push back and develop the muscle to do what happened in Texas. You see what happened with that pro-life? And also, South Lake, Texas, 1,000 people rose up, boom, got rid of the mayor, boom, get rid of 2 city councils, boom, take over the board, because they're tired of having their children's brains poisoned by the left. So they went to the school system, took it over. Same thing's happening up in Virginia right now. And so what's happening is you're on a slow boil. You know, you ladies know what this is like. You put something on a stove, and it takes a while. First you got the little dots, and then it starts to have a little bit of activity, and then things start to heat up, and then boil. Well, we're hitting that boil point, that slow boil, because everybody knows that what's happening in America is decay in every direction, unless, of course, you're listening. This is the strange thing about how the propaganda network works. The dangerous thing about propaganda, if you're living, and I've been with some people I know that are, family and associates in the Northeast, if they're listening, if they're reading the New York Times and they're listening, I'm trying to find a place that doesn't make my face look so nuclear. I'm trying to find, there we go, that's better. But, if you're reading the New York Times, you're listening to CNN, you might as well be dipping your head into the fog machine, because the devil is talking. You got to go. You know how many news sources I have to go to? I have to really dig, because the first thing I run into is the propaganda. So I got to go 5 layers deep to find stuff out. By the way, that thing with Hamas and having the Associated Press in their building, how do we know that? Because the Jews warned them and said, get the heck out of the building. We're going to hit the building. Get out. They're trying to get out of the building because they don't really want to have civilian casualties. Well, guess what? And then the Associated Press says, how could you blow up our office? Well, what was your office doing next door to Hamas, unless you're working with them? And you know who brought this to the public's attention? Senator Cotton. Senator Cotton, you should see him on saying, why is the press being used as a human shield, and why are they willing to be used as a human shield? Because the reason why you have civilian casualties in the Palestinian territory is very simple. Because they put the rockets in schools, next to hospitals, next to any religious structure. They put it in neighborhoods. They put it in densely populated neighborhoods and put it inside a house. Open up the garage, shoot the rocket, so that when the Jews have to shoot back, boom, there's a house got hit and there's somebody got. This is how they do it. Then they make a big thumping of the chest. Look what the Jews are doing. They're taking our innocent people. Well, you putz, why are you sending 4,000 rockets? If New Jersey sent 4,000 rockets into New York, do you think New York will be sitting there saying, well, what did we do? We don't know what to do to stop you. They tie off New Jersey and send it out into the ocean. You guys follow me? All right. So there's so much to cover. There's so many things I wanted to talk about, but there's not much time. I don't want to do these long broadcasts, but I'm going to talk to you some more again. I'm going to talk to you some more later. I'm going to post the names of all of these 35 people. This is a good 35 to get rid of. Let's start right there. I started to highlight in Pennsylvania, Brian Fitzpatrick and Stephanie Bice in Oklahoma, because I know that these are places where you guys are at. You could do something about this. I don't know what we can do in New Jersey. Is there any part of New Jersey we got control of anymore? Is there any part of it? But Representative Van Taylor in Texas. Come on, Texas. Arkansas, Rep. Steve Womack. It's time for you to pack your bag. Anyway, I don't know what we can do in New York, but we can do something in these other places. And the good news is, school boards are being flipped. Pro-life legislation is working. Arizona is getting exposed. Georgia's getting ready. They're positioning themselves. Michigan, Wisconsin. The pressure is on. It's our movement. It's our movement at this point in time. because the grassroots is going to be the sheep movement. It's going to be the ultimate backlash. It's the backlash coming, and if we do it right, it's going to be a cultural expansion of occupation of significant infrastructure within the states and the cities and the homes, moving out, creating this boundary. But we've got to succeed in this because the left is hell bent on annihilating all election law protection and making the whole nation federalized for their elections, adding the District of Columbia as a state, adding Puerto Rico as a state, packing the Supreme Court. They've already sent a warning. If there's any more progress going to the Supreme Court in the direction of overturning abortion, they're doing a commission right now to come out in November, the same time the courts are going to be deciding on the next big abortion case. They're already saying, we're doing our commission, we'll pack that court. Oh my God, we cannot let them expand their whole ground in Congress. We cannot, and you're saying, well, it sounds political. Yeah, well, you know why? Because this is the front lines of the battle in the spirit realm. The spirit realm is being fought in media, academia, economics. The devil's trying to crash our economy, shut down our freedom and push back and ability to speak and preach, and take over our government so that we will no longer have free elections. And you say, well, how can you say that? Well, if you have this H.R. 1 pass, then you're basically going to take away voter identification. You're going to have perpetual ballot without chain of custody. You're going to have a flood of shenanigans that's going to be just wiping out those swing states. So you're going to have another election like we had last time with 70% of Republicans questioned the integrity of it in the first place. Things are turning around. People say, why do you think this is all happening, Lance? I can tell you exactly why it's happening. It's happening because God is revealing the root and the fruit of America. For those of us that have had our head in the sands, or we keep looking for a convenient revival or a little bit of nice church growth, the Lord is saying, it ain't going to cut it anymore. You're going to glorify me and please me as a nation, or I'm going to discipline you. And God's discipline is by exposing the corruption. Half the country wants this. And don't tell me, come on, guys, don't give me this. I'm one of us, and I hear our logic. And sometimes we don't push back on our own bad logic. People say, well, Lance, the election was stolen. Oh, well, the election was stolen. And how come over half of Congress is controlled by the left? How come academia is taken over by the left? How come Wall Street suddenly got woke and taken over by the left? How come the Supreme Court lacks the courage to be able to vote conservative? I'll tell you why. Because in each of those 7 mountains, business, finance, journalism, media, arts and entertainment, sports, while men slept, an enemy planted radical, invasive species, a plant that came in, totally alien to the American culture and the American idea, the American experiment, the American blessing God gave in the short history of our nation. And these plants went down with their Marxist, toxic value system, or with their perversion of morality regarding purity. And in these various places, they went for the education system. They went into the media and entertainment system. They went into the courts, and they went into the Ivy League schools and put out their own lawyers. And then they went into politics, and they worked their way into finance. And now what we have is America is strangling on its own iniquities, and half the country doesn't care. That's the reason why God said, I'm not going to give you a cheap deliverance. I'm not going to send this guy back into the lion's den to stand alone holding his Bible up while a church burns and the military pompously walks out on him and reprimands him when they're supposed to stand behind him. America is far more corrupt and sick than we knew. That's why God says, all right, how about I reveal to you the true condition? How about if I pull the sheets off and expose the true condition? I am laying the axe to the root of this tree. That's what God's done. And I'm exposing the fruit of this tree, which is El Stinko. And I'm saying to my people, is this what you want? Because we can do this all day long. And God's people are going, no. But it's not just going to be a little ballot, but go save us, Donald Trump, while we watch and eat popcorn and watch him. It's going to be now the church going out to save what we can save, to stop the madness and the decay as far as we can. Share this, will you please? Have the courage to share this. Go and share it. Even if you put a note down and say, I don't know if this guy makes any sense. I don't know. He seems kind of, I don't know, maybe he makes some sense, maybe a little crazy. Share it. Because We don't know how long we're going to have the ability to share these things. Remember, it's going to be liftable.com/underground, and that's where I'm going to be going. I'm going to be putting my Lance rants over there, and the rest of it, you're seeing these other news things I'm doing. Dun 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 da da da. Firewall with Lance Wallnau, and I do normal stuff like Tucker Carlson. Meanwhile, what's happening today? And I give that kind of news coverage, which is respectable, but it isn't always as transparent or as interesting as when we go where we're going. I'm going to list those 38 guys, by the way, that you got to take responsibility for and deal with. And remember this investigation that's in search of a crime against Donald Trump has already succeeded in calling for criminal charges. And I think it's a disgrace that this lady can actually run for office on the platform. She's going to find a crime to prosecute Donald Trump. Despicable. Like I said, an upstanding member of the law firm, Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe. And so, anyway, we're not without our opinions, are we? But I'll be looking forward to sharing some more with you tomorrow. I'm going to be up there with Tim Sheets, I think, in Ohio. I'm going to be up there. If you're in Ohio and you know where Dutch Sheets' brother Tim Sheets is, then come join us. We're going to be flying up there tomorrow, be there this weekend, and hoy vey, have we got some fun things coming your way. We're going to be on the road again, because the Trump train's taken off, and there's an awakening that's happening, and there's all kinds of rallies taking place, and I'm looking forward to seeing your face in these places. Talk to you soon. Thanks for joining me on this broadcast. And, we could stay connected together. If you subscribe, you're going to be updated on the next broadcast that comes out. And you could like this right here, and we could actually start to create a movement of connected people.